The best R6 player in the world is someone that you never heard of. At the 6th Invitational, while Fultz got a positive 37 kills, Handyy had already managed to go positive 54 in the most important event in his life. But why have you never heard of him? He just started to stream this past year on Twitch as the best player in the world and only has 11,000 followers on Twitch. To understand why, we must first comprehend there were three main eras throughout R6 Pro League's history. First, we had the EU era. This was the first time we ever saw the most dominant teams assembled in Pengu and Fabian's Penta and G2. Then came NA's Prime, with SSG and TSM winning their fair share of titles. But now we're seeing something different with the Brazil era. These two teams in FaZe and W7M, now Furia, are why this region has been so dominant over the past 2 years. But why is this region so good? Well, that brings me to my first point, in that they care about Siege. Now, I know what you're thinking. Don't all professional players care about the game? It's literally their job. Not like how Brazilians care about Siege. There is one word that I would describe the Brazilian region with, and that's passion. The amount of passion that Brazil shows is why they are just unbeatable. But is that a good thing? When one team keeps winning everything, the viewing experience becomes boring to watch. You start, without even noticing, rooting for the underdog, because we all love an underdog story. That brings me to my second point in why no one cares about Handyy being so good, and that's the story behind him. The reality is that there isn't one. I know that seems harsh, but just hear me out. As viewers, we love drama and to root for someone. We need to have interest in the thing we're watching, or we'll go watch something else. There needs to be a reason to be engaged, especially in something like R6 esports, where who's playing really makes a difference in viewership and also the story. But Handy's story no one knows. Handyy essentially came out of nowhere and started his competitive Siege journey in 2020. With his twin brother Nade, they would form the team called the Kids Team. Hopefully that stood for something. They would fail to qualify for the Brasilia 2020, which at that time was the Brazilian Challenger League. For reference, there were 154 teams in this tournament, and sadly, Kids Team would not qualify. But Handyy and his twin brother Nade would keep grinding in Tier 3 and Tier 2 leagues to finally get a chance at playing on a pro team. 2 years would pass, and both of the brothers had gotten picked up by two separate teams to try and qualify for Pro League. Handyy with Furia and Nade with Black Dragons. Both brothers had proved that they belong, but Handyy's start to his Pro League career would come at the Charlotte Major, and Furia still was a newly formed team, so they didn't perform well, finishing 10th out of 16 teams. Furia's team would have a similar performance at the Berlin Major, finishing 8th. Handyy was frustrated because he knew the kind of player he was and the potential that he had. He just needed to find the right people around him. And after failing to qualify for the 6th Invitational of 2023, Handyy knew it was time to change things up. There was one team that did see potential in Handyy and wanted to take a chance on a young new prospect. That team was FaZe. Handy's first major with his new team would be in Copenhagen. They would finish 4th, and of course, what other team do you think won the tournament? Handy's twin brother Nade in the background would go to W7M and win the entire tournament. The very first major that Nade would play with his new team, he would win the entire thing. Safe to say that these two brothers know how to play Siege. The next tournament for Handyy was the Atlanta Major. FaZe would get a similar result, this time finishing 3rd. Nade, on the other hand, would win again. Back-to-back majors, Nade W7M were the best team in the world, but Handyy and FaZe wasn't that far behind either. Both brothers were hitting their stride when the biggest tournament of the year was right around the corner, the brothers' first 6th Invitational. These two brothers had found places where they felt like they belonged. The chemistry that they have built with their teams was unmatched, and that was clear because they were both steamrolling everyone. W7M had lost in the first round of the tournament, putting them in the lower losers bracket the entire tournament, meaning that they could not lose a single game to make it to the finals. Meanwhile, FaZe had only lost 3 maps the entire tournament and coasted to the finals. Both twin brothers with their own teams were about to play each other for $1 million. Not only that, but it just so happened to be the most entertaining game of Rainbow Six Siege that had ever taken place. FaZe would end up losing to W7M, and Handy's brother Nade was now a world champion. But the thing that got overshadowed in this 6 Invitational in 2024 is that FaZe ended up losing to W7M in the finals. The finals MVP, Keys, wasn't even the best player at that tournament, it was actually Handyy, having the best KD in the entire tournament even though his team would lose in the finals. And although Handyy was happy for his brother, deep down he still wanted his own hammer. So in 2025, FaZe would set out to do exactly that, dominating the Brazil League, finishing first in both Stage 1 and Stage 2, securing their invite to the 6th Invitational 2025, the biggest tournament of the year. FaZe Clan would finish second in their bracket in the group stage, securing a spot in the upper bracket for the playoffs. The tournament is double elimination, but FaZe was expected to dominate this tournament and coast their way to the finals in the upper bracket. That's the opposite of what actually happened. FaZe would end up losing to SSG 2-0 and were on the brink of elimination. The region known for making little if zero mistakes just lost to an NA team that hasn't been taken seriously since Canadian left. FaZe Clan would need to do something remarkable to even have a chance of getting to the finals. They would have to play perfect Siege. FaZe would show everyone why they were one of the best teams in the world, but the job wasn't finished. They still had one team to beat, BDS. BDS was a fan favorite in the tournament because of someone, I don't know if you've heard of him, named Shaiko. Shaiko had finally made it to the biggest stage of his career, but had never actually won the biggest tournament that Siege has had to offer. Could he and BDS beat the best team in the world in Handyy and FaZe Clan in a best of 5 for $1 million? Map 1 would be a nail-biter, with BDS taking it 9-7. It seemed that BDS was clicking on all levels and overall had the momentum. Would Shaiko finally win his first hammer? Map 2 was close the entire time, with BDS tying it 5-5 and Shaiko playing out of his mind. It was looking as if BDS would go up 2-0, but the thing about R6 Esports is that one man could not lead a team into glory, and that was becoming more and more clear as the match went on, with FaZe clicking on all levels. FaZe would take map 2 7-5. Map 3 Nighthaven Labs would have the same result, with FaZe winning the map 7-5 as well. FaZe needed one more map to be crowned world champions. Map 4 would be on Clubhouse, and BDS was not out of it at all, going up 2-1 to start the map. BDS was finally starting to heat up when something devastating would happen. With 24 seconds left in the round, FaZe is all spread out, trying to pinch BDS, and with such little time and players dropping, Vita King and Handyy just go in and try to kill everyone. It ends up being a 1v2 with Handyy still alive for FaZe. He quickly gets the refrag onto Shaiko, making it a 1v1. The only issue is that there's 3 seconds left, and he needs to push Usis to kill him or else he'll lose on time. There's a 99% chance of FaZe losing this round. The other 1% is when Handy's alive. This play would single-handedly change the map for FaZe, but that still doesn't explain why no one cares that Handyy is the best player in the world. He was statistically the best player in the biggest tournaments of the year back to back. Bro is on a generational type of run, and you would never even know it. The truth is, Brazil is boring to watch. Especially in Siege, we are so interested in the next flashy prospect. For example, just look at someone like Stompin, who's the most hyped prospect maybe ever and has very fast, flashy, quick mechanics. When someone plays with a slow sensitivity, and to be honest moves like a snail, it's not very fun to watch. But being fun to watch doesn't really bring home hammers, does it? Handy's dominance took a backseat over the past 2 years when maybe it shouldn't have. If you like this video, you are sure to enjoy my video on the downfall of ranked in Rainbow Six Siege. Just click the video on screen now, and I'll see you there.